Welcome back to another episode of the Dylan Madden Show. Today I've got a very close friend of mine, a very mysterious friend. His name's Umar. Welcome to the show. What's going on?
Good to see you, brother.
So, what's your origin story? Because I know you're very mysterious. I just see you teleporting all over the world. What's your origin story for everybody that's watching?
What is my origin story? So, first of all, it's an honor to be here. We have talked about this for a long time, and finally, I'm public now, so I can sit here and share my story with Dylan. So, I was born in Pakistan to a privileged family. My dad was a high-ranking official in the government. He was actually a general in the Pakistani army. So grew up privileged, traveled a bunch with him, learned a lot of cool stuff, a lot of things that people don't get to experience as they're growing up, like playing polo, learning to ride horses as 4 or 5, which becomes a part of your life, but also going through very, very strict physical training, sports, squash, cricket. My dad wanted us to be a pro at everything along with academics. So very, very highly competitive environment. Yeah. And then went to America for school and then never left like a lot of people. Retired from corporate America as executive vice president a couple of years ago. Now I'm back in the game. I got 1 foot in the matrix in corporate America and 1 foot out, which is my alternate persona, also known as Sky Money Boss.
Fantastic. And what was there like a cultural shock for you whenever you left Pakistan and went to the U.S., or was it just like, cool?
To be honest, going from Pakistan to be in Texas was a dream for me because a lot of people, a lot of kids in Pakistan grew up thinking about being a cowboy, and I actually had an opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
So I loved it. The weather was similar. People in Texas and the South are great. Yes, there are some adjustments that need to be made, but we grew up going to international schools. We had the language skills. And a little bit of a shift was going from the British system of communication and also mannerism to the very, very relaxed American side. And we took to it pretty easily. So, yeah. Very proud to be an American. I do believe I am the American dream.
Love that. I mean, you really are. Like coming from another country, you come there, you build yourself up into who you are, which leads me to how did you become financially successful? Like, can you break that down? Maybe give some mindset tips for the audience. Like, how'd you go about doing that?
Absolutely. How did I become successful? So I take a lot of pride in being a self-made millionaire, and it was through pure hard work. I never thought I was the smartest guy, even though people think that I'm a genius. Sometimes I think I'm a genius too. But I always thought that I'm not the smartest one, but I'm the hardest working one. And I will outwork anyone in anything. And in a nutshell, that combined with my ability to take insurmountable amount of stress without any issues, and just be able to deal with a lot of shit, okay? I look at myself as a firefighter. Number one, I'm a freedom fighter because I do want people to escape the matrix and the chains that are put on every financial level. There's lower income class that is in chains. There's kids who are in chains. There's grown-ups like me who are in chains, could be successful in corporate America, but you could still be chained up. Okay, so going back to what I was saying, I look at myself as a firefighter on top of being a freedom fighter. So I wake up and I'm like that dude in Wreck-It Ralph, okay, and I'm going floor by floor, putting out fires, okay. I'm running 5 concurrent businesses, all have absolutely nothing to do with each other. One is traditional, one is in media, one is in multi-location real estate, and all have different issues, and I put out the fires and I provide leadership, and that's how I'm successful.
And how do you approach leadership? Because like on my end, I've got 2 different projects, and it's like managing that, and I've got a great handle on it, but I can't even imagine having 5 different companies running completely different like industries and all that. Like, how do you approach the leadership side? How do you set up the team? How do you manage the team, especially? So, like I said earlier, you teleport all over the world. So how do you do that?
So I work 18 hours a day.
I literally tell people that's the secret.
That's
18
the
hours a
secret.
day.
So anytime that I'm not sleeping, I'm working. I do not consume TV. I do not watch sports. I do not hang out and get drunk or get high or even just let's visit. Okay. Yeah. All of my friends, all of our G's, we only hang out together if we are doing business together or learning from each other or training together. So I'm working a crazy amount of hours that enables me to set the example for everyone. Right. So the leadership, I know it's a cliche, but it is leadership by example, and it's servant leadership. So recently, I was involved in a situation where I had to become a chief information officer, and I had never done it. I did have a business analyst background, but I learned that stuff on the fly because it needed to be done, and people were freaking out because there was nobody to do this. We lost some talent, and then people rally around you once they see you trying to figure stuff out that you have never done. And of course,
yeah, lead from the front. You have to.
Absolutely. And if you're outworking them, you're challenging them, they will either step to the plate or you have to replace them. There is no supporting losers in my mind. I absolutely do not put myself around people who are not high performing.
100%.
And otherwise did it for a long time in corporate America. But that's what Sky Money Boss is about. You know, you can make money fall from the sky if you are around a bunch of killers like you and you're all working as hard as possible. And I'll give you a couple of examples of this that a couple of our guys, Justin Waller, you know,
shout out Justin.
Yeah. So Justin had a G-Wagon, and he just bought a Lambo, a Hurricane. It's beautiful. It's white. And I have one supercar. It's a C8. I challenge anybody to race me who doesn't think it's a supercar. So he got another supercar, and I gave myself the goal that by Christmas, I will have another supercar. Now I will earn it by working my ass off and making the cash for that. But just so everybody knows, my assistant is already in the process of designing it.
Wow. That's something I like about supercars. You can literally design what your supercar is going to be like. But to circle back to this whole success thing, like whenever you got started, did you have a plan from day one? Like on my end, I had an idea. I had a vision of where I wanted to be. I refused to stay in the reality I was. I didn't really have any skill sets at the time, but I knew if I just showed up and I worked my ass off and I just networked with people and improved myself, that's how I would build value. So what was your plan whenever you're just getting started in America as you went into the Matrix and now you stepped out of the Matrix? Like, what's been your plan this whole time? Because you've even within the Matrix have achieved like a high level of success. Most people stay in the Matrix and they're basically just peons, but you went to the Matrix, but you were able to really leverage it, and now you've pivoted and you're like in both worlds at the same time, which is awesome.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question because I come from a very, very traditional background where you're loyal, you work for one employer your whole life, and they retire you or give you a pension. And the work is done due to a sense of duty, not due to the remuneration you get. So a little bit about my background. So I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and I have 2 masters.
Oh, so you are a genius then.
I have 2 masters, one in economics and one in industrial engineering. Yeah. And I was on a NASA fellowship. They paid for all of my education at Texas A&M University. So, but I was smart enough to realize that I am not a great space scientist, okay? I did it because they were paying me, but I wasn't gonna invent a rocket like Elon Musk. And I also realized something very, very important. When I was at the Space Center, I was working on various projects from Boeing Space Hab. We're working with Lockheed Martin, Johnson Space Center, the Jet Propulsion Lab at Caltech. So I realized all these guys who had PhDs from MIT and Caltech and everything, they all came and beat up Hyundais and Toyotas. Okay. And I realized because they're all government employees. There's nothing wrong with it. Or they were salaried employees with tenure. But I realized that they're not rich. And then when I put my foot in the business world, because I had to make a choice, which they weren't happy about because they pay for your education. So you come work for them and have a career. And when I went in the business world, the guy who interviewed me to be an intern at the company that I retired from, that was my only job, he was driving a Boxster, a Porsche Boxster. And I said, this guy's selling boxes and he has a Porsche. Okay, so maybe there's something over here. So I said bye-bye and thank you to the space industry. And I got into the business world in the paper and packaging industry. So I had to switch away from generations of our service in my family to think on my own. And I had to do that while grinding really, really hard in the matrix. So in my 20s, I was up at 4, went to sleep at 11, always there before my boss showed up, stayed there till everybody was gone. You know, the joke where they say, hey, if you die, nobody's going to notice if you keep sitting on your desk working all the time. Yeah, that was me. Okay, I traveled to all the far-flung places to take the toughest project, and it helped me get a promotion every 6 months. And I kept making more money. But then I said, man, I keep making more money, but none of this is going to be enough. Because you know what they do? If you're an executive, they pay you twice a year in bulk. So you have your salary, and the 2 payments they do to you, it's a bonus, and they give you stock. And they do it 6 months apart. So you get one in
So during
June.
that, like before the 6-month period's up, you're not getting paid. It's just like a
You're
bulk
getting your
payment.
salary.
Okay.
But the stock and the bonus is like, in some cases, half of your compensation. Okay. So they do it twice a year, 6 months apart. So if you're thinking about leaving, you say, hey, you know what? Let me just stay till my stock vest. Once your stock vest, you're like, I already put in 6 months. Let me just wait till my bonus comes through.
That's a beautiful trap. Jeez.
And they actually do it for the highest performers like me. Okay. And finally, cutting that is not easy because you leave significant amount of money on the table. But when I saw that, and I said, man, I see all these guys around me in their 50s, they're on multiple medications for anxiety, for stress, because they make good money, but it's not enough to have the life they want. So they have to keep grinding. So I said, I'm going to save a lot of money and start investing. That's how I got into real estate. And I would...
Oh, yeah, I remember our early conversations about that, yeah.
I would save money for 3 years.
Yeah.
Close to 7 figures, and I would buy an apartment building with that down payment of 25% of the close to 7 figures, because that's what you need to do. Okay, that was my first thing that told me that will make me independent, because you get your rent, and that's when I could start thinking, okay, now I can get out of the matrix. And obviously joining the war room changes everything, because once I joined that, and I said, okay, I don't need to wait 3 years to save up this amount of money to invest into huge opportunities. There's so many different avenues with the technology available, with the changing business landscape, with social media influencing going on and whatnot. There's so much e-commerce. There's so much, all the great things that you teach in the real world. So once I saw that, that's when I said, you know what? There are guys over here who have nothing and they are building incredible wealth in the real world, and I have millions, okay? And I'm scared to let go due to sense of duty, due to greed, or due to just habit, because it becomes your habit. And that's something very, very important that I want to tell everybody, that you might think that you're like me, you're in your mid-30s, you're in your 40s, you're in your 50s, okay? And you are a director somewhere, you are a vice president somewhere, and you think, okay, I'm clearing, few $100,000 per year, which is great. It gives you a little bit of satisfaction, but it's never enough to have the freedom. The freedom is the biggest thing, because they will know where you are based on the phone they gave you. You can't leave America and go to Mexico because they will start locking you out. You can't fly to Ukraine, even if you have a work from home. They're going to block your phone. They're going to block your email. True story happened to me. But the funny thing was, I was the boss, so they had to call me to approve myself to be allowed in Eastern Europe. And I said, "Why are you calling me? I'm here. Open it up." But so freedom is at hand, okay? Because they give you a little taste of freedom with that money, but then they keep the chains on, and you are getting paid enough to where you're just compliant. And life is too short not to realize your dream. And that's my platform, okay? I believe that there is a big gap where I call them the forgotten 40s, okay? Guys like me who have done everything the right way. Okay, they have supported their family, they have supported their kids, they have given 20, 25 years to an employer, and they could be gotten rid of today. But they don't have the tech savvy that you're teaching in the real world. But there's a way. I figured it out, okay? And that's the message that I'm telling people.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. The whole reason I even started trying to figure out the matrix is I thought the dream was to be a corporate guy because my dad, I would literally see him. He's South Africa, he was in Beijing, he was in Germany, he was going everywhere. So that was kind of my dream. And then, I don't know, it was like around the time he was 40, 50 years old, something like that. The company got bought out. The owner of the company walked away with hundreds and hundreds of millions. And the first thing they did is they cut all the top people that were retiring within the next 2 to 3 years. So I watched my dad, who gave everything, like literally started the company, it was like nothing. And then at that point, the company was worth billions. And he had to basically start out from ground zero. And I was like, oh my gosh. So then I was like, okay, college is the answer because I don't know what I want to do. So I went to small business entrepreneurship and marketing. That was going to be the degree, which is a joke degree because they teach you stuff from like a decade ago. But anyways, I asked the professor, I was like, what types of businesses have you actually ran? He'd never had a single business. He had the idea of partnering, buying some State Farm agency, but the deal fell through. I literally got up, packed my bag, and walked out. And it's funny because now, like, I'm a professor, like I'm in the real world, but I'm so motivated to help all the people watching this, like whether you're 13, 14, 15, 40, 50, it doesn't matter. Like, you can leverage the technology now, build up a social media presence. You can go out there and like actually close clients, and you're not limited. As an example, like if you're working one job, sure, you can work more hours, or maybe you get a second job. But as an example, like I teach client acquisition, so it's going out and closing clients. You can have one client, you can upsell them to more stuff. You can get referrals from that one client, which makes getting the next client even easier. You can have 2 clients, 3 clients, 5 clients. You're just doubling your income. You don't have to wait months and months and months, or like, as you were saying, like 6 months at a time. That's crazy. And the point that you were talking about earlier, when you were talking about like holding on to the money, would you say any of that was related to like your family? Like, what did your family teach you about money? Did that kind of translate over?
That is a great question. What did my family teach me about money? I would say that culturally, my people, and I call my people lovingly brownies, okay?
You can say it, I can't.
You can't say it. It's a term of endearment. Andrew Tate came up with the brokies. I have come up with brownies. I think brownies need better representation in social media. So I think there's a scarcity mindset over there. And I've been fighting it for a long time, where you feel like, okay, the money in the bank looks pretty and I can do things with it, but you don't do anything with it. And eventually you're going to die and the money is still going to be there. And you're still going to be driving a Toyota. And where I live now in Sugar Land, our people, they get a Lexus, okay? So when I got my C8, I did not tell my family about it for 6 months. It actually leaked out to them. And then my mom said, "Did you buy a sports car?" And I said, "Yeah." And she's like, "Send me the picture." And she loved it. And she has come around. But a lot of my siblings, they were like, "Why do you need it?" And then I told them I'm getting another one. And they're like, "Why don't you invest it in whatever?" And I said, investments can go to zero. I put it in some stock, it can go to zero. This is about living life free, okay? And getting that satisfaction that you worked hard and you rewarded yourself. So I'm still working on developing that abundance mindset and definitely being around some of the G's here in Dubai, or that we're building a whole stable of supercars, and you're like, why not? Why not me? Why not me?
Yeah, if somebody else can do it, so can we. That's the mindset that I preach to my students inside the real world. Is because, example, a couple days ago, we had an 18-year-old that, so, yo, bro, I've been in this for a month. I haven't made any money. I'm trying to figure it. I was like, and I showed him an example of, he was 13 when he got started. By the time he was 14, he'd made $6,000. I was like, are you telling me a 14-year-old that doesn't have the same life experience as you, and like you have so many more advantages that he didn't? He had to have his mom go up and set up the account. Then he had to convince her of what he was doing, but he still pulled it off. So if you see somebody else that has a life that you want, supercars, millions in the bank, whatever, if they can do it, so could you. You just have to go out there and actually learn the skills, build the value, build the social media presence, and do all that. So I love that.
Very importantly, people need to realize it's all based on hard work. Okay, we don't do it for flashing. Okay, it might look like we're doing it for flashing, but it's a reward to ourselves. And it's something very interesting. I was talking to my mom, and she says, you're buying another car. And I said, yeah, I am. She's like, but your message is so strong that people should come to it anyhow. And I said, that's not how the world works. They come for the flash, and then they stay for the substance.
Exactly.
Okay. And I feel very confident in that. And it has worked for the OGs. Okay. So why not for us and anybody else who wants to do that?
Okay. And I mean, at what point did you feel like you made it? Was it once you had like stepped out of the corporate, or did you have a period even when you were in the corporate world where you felt like, wow, I made it? And you could kind of just sit there. Like for me, whenever I got started, I was stressed all the time, working. And I finally got to a point where I was like, my mom's good, rent's paid, food is like not even an issue, and I can look at my account and I'm not anxious. That for me, that was not the first time I felt like I made it.
I felt like that about 5 years ago, when you stop looking at anything. I don't look at my credit card statement. I don't check transactions. Everything is automatic paid. I don't look at my bank balance. I know what's there, so I don't do anything crazy.
Yeah.
If I'm making a 6-figure payment to somebody, then I'll make sure that everything is good. And it happened when, even in corporate America, I got to the point where you start getting paid for who you are and not what you do. And they were going to pay me regardless, just due to the connections that I had. And that also sets up a plateau for you. And I could see myself getting sucked in, and then I would turn into all those guys, because you stay there, you're not building any skills. At some point, you start getting that anxiety that I'm getting too old, I didn't learn anything, now they're going to fire me. And that's when you start getting on all the medications and stuff that people in corporate America do. Why do you think they go to all these dinners every night with their clients and they're drunk? Okay, they don't work out, they drink, they eat horrible, and then they wake up and somehow they do it. And I'll tell you something very interesting. I was retired for a year. Once you retire and you reprogram your mind, it is very, very hard to go back. I have one foot in the matrix right now, but imagine you get on a fucking meeting Monday morning and people ask you, how was your weekend? Or how's the weather in Texas? You're like, I don't know. I worked all weekend and I worked on my own shit.
What do you mean you worked?
Yeah, exactly.
So, this is a question I get asked often, and it's, does money make you happy? Like, that's something everybody, like, all people will co-part and be, oh, no, it doesn't, but they're broke. So, like, does money make you happy?
Money absolutely makes you happy, because you have never seen a rich person give it away. And I'll give you an example. I was just in Pakistan. My sister came over to say goodbye to me last night. She was just standing in the middle of the road at a red light. Somebody came and hit her and ran away. Okay, people tried to take pictures and they couldn't because it was nighttime. She came and she says, yeah, tomorrow I have to take it to the workshop and stuff. And she was about to say how much it's going to cost, and she has kids who take care of her. And I just looked at her and I said, just send the bill to mom. Okay, she's going to take care of it from my side. And the happiness on her face, okay, and it's just not that I have money. She knows I care about her. Money helps you take care of the people you love.
Yeah, facilitates
Okay,
things.
if I was sitting over there and I did not have the resources, we would spend 15 minutes talking about how much can we save some money on the repairs. All of that is taken away. Okay, so work hard, make money, no matter what you want to do. Even if you want to do charity, can't do much by yourself, but if you have a bunch of money, you can make a lot of people very, very happy.
Okay, so I don't know the context of this question, but I received a DM and I'm supposed to ask you this.
Sure, go ahead.
What's the ranch story or the story with the ranch?
With the ranch, so as you can see, I wear a cowboy hat. I don't wear it because I'm bald. I have beautiful hair. So part of the Sky Money Boss story is being a cowboy, okay? And I believe that I'm a freedom fighter. I'm an outlaw like Billy the Kid, coming from Texas and coming from a horsing background. I have moved from writing English and dressage like the German people and playing polo to going to the ranch and rounding up cattle because I want to live free, and being on the open range in Wyoming or Montana on Colorado is one of the best feelings in the world. No cell phones over there. You can think clearly. And me and Justin Waller have plan where we're gonna go wrangle up some stuff together, and we'll see who's the better cowboy. Okay, he sounds like the better cowboy, but I can hold my own.
Well, you have a ton of experience like riding horses, so I think the advantage, like Justin, love you, bro, but I think you have the advantage when it comes to that.
I have trained horses.
Yeah.
Okay, and there was a time as a kid I used to ride twice a day, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night. So it's like riding a bicycle for me. But I'm looking forward to hanging with Justin. It's always a blast.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
super awesome. So I mean, you talked about the ranch, you've talked about buying properties and all that. Over the last, I don't know, like 12 months, I've been noticing like people that I still keep in contact with in America, they're talking about the prices are going up. Where do you see the world going over the next, like, let's say 2 to 4 years if inflation doesn't stop? Like, where do you see that going, and what's some advice for the viewers? Obviously, get inside the real world, build skill, but what's some other stuff that you could say?
I have a very different perspective on it because you're talking about America. I just came from Pakistan, which is a third world country. Very good people, very hardworking people. And if you think prices are higher and people are getting crushed in America or Europe, it's way worse in a developing country because America exports inflation everywhere. So the dollar is getting stronger for these people against their currencies. It's going like that. So it's great for me because, and my family, because we make money in dollars and we can send it back home. But for the people who are there, they're absolutely getting crushed. And it's the same thing that is happening in East and West. They're eradicating the middle class. They're eradicating the middle class, turning everybody into the lower class and making them slaves. And there's no other way about it because eventually things get so expensive that you can't think of anything. Okay, you have to work 2 jobs, or you have to,
Just to pay rent and eat.
or you have to depend on government sustenance. So they will ask you to do whatever they want you to do, while the upper class keeps growing. So whether you're in America or in Pakistan, the 5-star restaurants you can't get a reservation. Okay, but the poor person can't even buy bread anymore. In America, credit card debt is out of control because people are literally living off credit. In countries that don't have credit card debt, they're falling prey to the sharks, loan sharks. So the only way out is independence. And no matter what happens with inflation, if you make enough money, you're still going to be able to take care of yourself and the people that you love. Obviously, I also believe in investing in real estate and assets. I always stay, no matter what the market is doing, I always make sure that real estate is there, and then other assets are there, such as stocks, crypto, because they'll eventually come up. And if you put yourself in enough money streams,
100%.
you're going to be okay. Just like we say, if you have enough grids where you can move around the world. Otherwise, anybody who's dependent on one income, no matter how good it is, sooner or later, they're going to come get you.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why I keep encouraging people to get into client acquisition and start taking on clients because, once again, if you've got just a job, you've got that one job. If you get fired, you're fucked. Versus if you have a client, you can always add more value to them once you prove yourself, obviously. Like, so you're an email copywriter. You write really good emails for them, help increase their sales. Now you can upsell them to writing their tweets, or you could even offer video editing. You take on a second client. So you can actually create a circle of protection around you. And I mean, while we're still on the topic of inflation, because to be honest, I haven't really looked too deep into this. Do you have an opinion on this whole BRICS thing? Like the US dollar is going to crash. Oh my gosh, BRICS is going to destroy everything. What do you think about it?
Unfortunately, in my opinion, the dollar is still extremely powerful and it's backed by the mightiest military in the world, which is the US military. And they're destroying the Russian military right now. And they're doing it. It's a financial war. Make no mistake. Yes, there's unfortunate things happening in Ukraine and innocent people are losing their lives, but it's all about money and power. And military controls currency and they're destroying the other rival that they have. So I believe the future is the dollar. It is degeneracy. It is destroying the middle class. It is indoctrinating your kids. And if you're okay with it, God bless. Okay. If you're not okay with it, it's time to take action now. Okay. Middle age, middle class families, doesn't matter where you're at. There are tools available in the real world, professors like Dylan and others who can provide that. And I'll say one more thing. Going back into corporate America after a year off, I realized that the people who are in corporate America have no idea where the world is
Oh,
going
zero.
because they have the yoke on them like an ox plowing. They have no idea what AI is. They hear about it. They have no idea because they have no time. They're worked to death. They're working 2 jobs now, okay, even middle class people. So they have no idea what's going on and they'll be burnt and left in the dust.
So even in corporate America, like, what's the conversation about AI? They just, oh, it's a cool fad. All the kids are like talking about. Like, do they have any concept of AI at all?
Absolutely not. So if you go to traditional companies like the industry that I come from, packaging, these folks are so um, set and happy due to the COVID rise in profits that they haven't realized that the world has spun on them. So if you look at large Fortune 500 companies, they're not doing it because they don't think anybody can unseat them. So why go and do these things that little tech companies are doing? And eventually it's going to be too late for them because whoever has the first mover advantage in them, like imagine a Colgate Palmolive, how much marketing budgets that they spend on commercials, models, sets. Don't need any of that shit anymore, okay? Because you and I can sit here and with our crew, we can make something with some kids in the Far East as high tech and as beautiful as they do.
Oh yeah, and if not even better, which is crazy. Which leads me to the importance of being highly competitive. Like I'm a very competitive person. Everybody that gets on my inner circle and the team, like highly competitive. Obviously, work hard, all that. Like, could you speak on being highly competitive, especially with where the world's going? So we have inflation, we have some interesting people in power in certain countries and all that. But outside of that, as long as you work hard, you make money, you're skilled up and all that, you can kind of separate yourself. So can you talk about being highly competitive, leveraging personal brand, AI, or just anything in today and where the world's going?
Absolutely. So, in today's world, you have to create your own world within that world. There's no other way around it. Because if you expose yourself to everything else, waste of time, corruption, and just pure illogical things that don't make any sense, like a woman who's actually a man and is admitted as a woman. And I see that more and more now in
Yeah.
just not in corporate America, just in like everyday life. And it's hard for kids to discern it. So to stay away from that, you have to have your own world. And what that means is you have highly competitive males around you. You have to be in relationships that are also supportive of that because women also compete, but in a different way. Okay. And if everybody in that circle, even going on a vacation, if I go on a vacation, it is 18 hours of work. Yes, it's work on a boat, it's work in a mountain cabin, it's work on a beach, anywhere in the world, but the work routine does not change. And I will tell you that even if you spend 2 days with a subpar companion or a buddy or whoever who's not on that level and they work 4 hours and they're like, you know what, we're on vacation, let's just have a margarita, one margarita, two margarita. You know, you have heard
Slippery
that
slope, yeah.
horrible song on TikTok. Okay, if you haven't heard it, don't listen to it. Okay, so it's very very important that you don't fall into it. Okay, we are all mirrors of the people. You know, as Andrew says, we're the average of the 5 G's that were around. So I absolutely create my own world. Jules calls it custom made reality. And it's 100% that I make my relationships in my family, with my friends, with my coworkers. It's on my terms. And I can do it on my terms because they know I am the boss. Okay. I'm bringing the most value. I'm working the hardest. So they have to get with my suggestions. And obviously, I do it because I love them. Okay. I'm tough on them because I love them. And that's the only way right now. You have to have a tribe. Okay. You have your team over here. I have my team. I have my media team. I have my real estate team. I have my corporate America team. I have a home team. So without that, it's going to be a very, very tough going. Yeah.
And for the people that are watching this, they will hear what we're talking about and they'll immediately try to become the boss immediately. And this is something I really push into people's minds. Yes. You have to become the man. You can't just go around demanding and all that. You actually have to build your value. You need to be in the gym. You need to be finding like-minded guys. You need to step up as a leader. You need to be building up skill sets. Can you speak on that for like any guys that are watching this right now? They're 18, 19, 20, something like that, like mid-20s as the oldest. What can they do?
So some people take the phrase fake it till you make it into the wrong way. So for example, if you look like a stick, okay, you can't walk around like Arnold and start pushing around just because you think in your mind you're Arnold and you're a big guy. Okay, you still have to do the work, okay, and make progress on that. So for me, to be honest with you, people like it's you against you. Okay, that's the biggest thing. If you are better than what you were yesterday, every day, then you're going to compound throughout the year and you're going to be a different person. I thought I was the man when I joined the war room. And then you get around some of the OGs and you're like, you know what? Let's get to work. Reprogram everything I know about everything. And in 2 years, everything changes. Okay. I'm unrecognizable to the people that thought they knew me. Okay. And I have to tell them I'm different now. Okay. This is the new me. If you don't like it, sayonara. Yep. Man, I want to ask you a couple of things.
Okay.
If that's okay with you. So
yeah, perfect.
Yes, I know you see me darting across the globe, but I don't stay in one place for a long time.
Right.
Okay. I have so many touch points everywhere with business, with family relationships, everything. But I see that you spend a good amount of time in different places. So I know you're in Guadalajara, you're in Paraguay, I know you're in Dubai, I know you're thinking about some other places. So how do you make a home base and then uproot?
So it's actually interesting. I had wondered that for a while, and I was on a recent podcast, and the guy started asking me, and it hit me. It was because growing up, I never really had a home. Like up until I was like 8 years old, I lived with my mom. And like imagine as a kid, 8 years old, everything's normal. And then all of a sudden you get taken to somebody else's house. And then you go to somebody else's house. And then you go to your grandfather's house. Then you go back to this other person's house. Oh, and actually you're now going to be moving in with your dad this in a whole another city, like hours and hours away. And then, I don't know, a year later, I finally saw my mom. So she literally dropped me off at school. And then I didn't see her for a while. So that kind of got it started. And then every 2 weeks I was going to see my mom every 2 weeks. So like I just got used to living out of a backpack. So I would say that's probably where that comes from. Like staying in one location actually makes me feel anxious. Like I don't like it. Like I feel like I'm slipping or I don't know, but I make the most money, the most progress whenever I stay in one location. So that's why this year specifically, like I think it's been like 10 to 11 months that I've been in Dubai. I've moved my team here, or the key people at least, and we're living in Dubai, and it's awesome. However, I am getting a little stir crazy, but I'm like staying here until like December, and then we'll go to like Bangkok or something. But I do enjoy going to new countries and like networking and doing all that. But then you uproot and you leave, which is kind of a waste of time in my personal opinion. Like go and travel. This is my, I guess, more OG wisdom as I'm maturing and all of that. Is I used to like the idea of living in a place for a month, 2 months, 3 months. Now I'm going to go to the next one, living out of a backpack and all that. But I like to wear nicer clothes now. I like to actually have connections, not just like meet a person one time, never talk to them again. Like I've met ambassadors and some diplomats and stuff like that, but I'm never going back to those countries. So where's the benefit in having that kind of relationship? Now I'm kind of becoming a proponent of having multiple home bases, not just travel here, travel there. So I've got Paraguay, we have Dubai, we've got another place I don't talk about on camera. So it's like we have key home bases we can go to. We've got an established network there. It's like home. And that for me, having that balance of like 3 to 4 places, it's like I genuinely like these places, and so I can spend more time there. So like obviously we have the studio here, we have other people that we know here, lots of mutual friends here, so that's fantastic. But yeah, I would say that's why.
Yeah, yeah. And I do agree with multiple home bases where you can pop in and out to a lot of different countries because the relationships are, I call it capital, okay? And it takes a while to build it. And even in my industry, that has helped me a lot because I was there for 20 years. Yes, I'm getting into social media. I've learned crypto, I've learned some other stuff, e-commerce, etc. But what I know for 20 years, I can make a phone call and get somebody a job or get a job for myself or make a deal on sourcing. And it's amazing if you have a good reputation and you have built that social capital with people, it goes a long way. So about Dubai, okay, this is the longest I've seen you stay anywhere.
Yeah.
So what would you tell people about Dubai? I have mixed feelings about it, okay?
Yeah.
I got hit by a car today.
Literally today.
Straight up Range Rover ran into my leg while I'm getting out of an Uber. And here I am, okay, for the lovely viewership of Dylan. So tell me about Dubai. How do you feel?
Traffic can get kind of annoying, but obviously I curate my reality, so I just don't go out at certain times. So that's a little annoying. But then obviously right now it's super hot, but I don't really care about that. I just stay in a car, so the driver will pull me up to the door, get out, go inside. It's not that big of a deal. Now, as far as what I love about it, hence why I've been here, the energy here is amazing. Like there's always something going on. If you just go into the city and you see like the Palm or you see the Burj Khalifa, it just shows you what like having a good imagination, obviously lots of money and other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is my vision, and boom, you've got the Burj Khalifa, or boom, you've got a man-made island called the Palm. And I know there also been talks about working on the other 2 islands as well. So things like that are awesome. And then the third and final thing would be the network I have here. Like I just have such amazing people here. Whenever I was in Paraguay, everywhere I went, I was like the top 1% at the table everywhere I went. And I like that in the very beginning, but I want to be at a table where I'm like, I have no idea what this person's talking about. Like example, if you were talking about real estate deals and all that, I'd be like, well, let me take some notes. And you actually learn something. It pushes you to that next level. And whenever I first got here, I got a little lost in the sauce. I started renting all my dream cars. I was going to buy it, the Lambo, blah, 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 blah.
I saw that on Instagram.
Yeah, and I was at the time living on the Palm because I just wanted to experience that kind of lifestyle to normalize it. I'm a very big supporter of normalizing the reality that you want. Until I met the neighbor next door because I just happened to be getting back from an Uber. He complimented the car that I pulled up in a couple days prior. He's like, man, you really know how to drive that. And we got talking. And he showed me his car collection. He had a Bugatti, a Urus. He had a couple other supercars. And this was his vacation home. They only comes during the winter time. And I was just like, that's insane. So everywhere I go here, there's always somebody that's 10 times richer, 10 times more powerful. And it gives me that edge, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. And I'll add one thing to what you just said is you have to be around the people that you want to learn from
Yes.
and be like. And a lot of times you have to buy the things that they like. So I'm not a car guy. I would rather take Uber from point A to point B, but I got a sports car because I saw that all the guys that I want to hang out with who are extremely successful and cool, they have stables of cars. And once you get one, you realize people look at you
Yeah,
differently.
100%.
They look at you as you're one of them. So, yes, it's great to drive an amazing machine, but at the same time, you're getting an entry into a special club because even if you can be hardworking, they'll just look at it. He's a nerd. Okay. He just works hard. He's got some money in the bank and he's got nothing to show for it. He doesn't even know how to enjoy money. So it's very important to learn how to enjoy money because that's what makes working hard very, very easy. Okay. And I do want to talk about how you stay in your fitness routine while you're relocating, traveling, all that stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, whenever I'm picking a hotel or Airbnb, it has to have a gym that's at least semi-usable. Like, example, one of the biggest things I hate is you go to a hotel and it's just got like a treadmill. Like, it doesn't have weights or anything. Obviously, you do push-ups. So on my end, I definitely, whenever I'm picking a hotel, Airbnb, has to have a good cafe nearby because I've been in situations where my internet goes down. Like, when you're in like third world types of countries, developing countries, the internet just goes down. And you're like, okay, I'm screwed all day. So has to have a cafe, has to have a good gym. And for me, it's just getting into a routine. Now, I will say, up until about November, I kind of let myself go. I had some stuff going on with family, with my mom. My grandfather passed, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, a lot of stuff going on. And so I didn't work out as hard as I should have been. And I didn't notice that much of a difference. But then I got around friends of mine. This is why it's so good to have high level friends. And I was like, bro, you need to get back in the gym today. And since moving to Dubai back in, it was like late November, I've lost about 30 pounds. So
you look amazing, bro.
Thank you.
That's why I was asking you about that. And I'll add to it because people say that, hey, I'm getting old. My metabolism is slowing down. I don't have time to work out. I think that is all bullshit. And
yeah, is the metabolism thing real? That for me, I think that's a psyop. I think you can still kind of modulate it.
It is because Mother Nature is the same with everybody. She can get very cruel, and gravity works on everybody. But I will say this: that if you think that I'm getting old, if you think my metabolism is slowing down, it will happen, okay? Because you are curating your reality, and the mind and the body is in a infinite loop to each other. The brain's telling the body what to do, and the body tells the brain what to do. So if you're extremely fit, your brain's going to be fit, okay? If your brain says, get unfit, I'm unfit, I don't have energy, your body will adapt to it, okay? So I never say I'm tired or I'm bored, because once you say that, you're giving it power. And yes, men's testosterone levels drop, metabolism slows down, but I'm a living example of it. I work out hard. If you stay at it, if you eat healthy, and you curate your inner circle with high testosterone males, you're going to have a high testosterone for a long, long time. I mean, there's alternative solutions to that, but not till you like get into your 50s or whatever. So I do not buy that from anyone. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, bro, that's about it. If anybody is interested in learning more about you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at the Real Sky Money Boss. I post some real cool stuff, reels, and my stories are hilarious. If you like travel and if you like to laugh and you like to make money, the Real Sky Money Boss on Instagram.
Awesome. Link in the description. Thank you, brother.
Absolutely.